back.
Greetings and salutations. Ah, we have people in the room. All right, cool. Welcome to the Automotive Podcast, episode 21. Podcast where you have to build model cars, but it sure does help. We have the regular crew here, Mr. Chester, Mr. Svensson, myself, and then our special guest down here in the Celebrity Hollywood Square, Mr. Jim Drew, since Mr. Chester decided that we're all calling everyone Mr. tonight.
Too many James in the room.
That's right. The Jameses far outnumber the Seans tonight.
That's for sure. Jeez.
Ah, man.
At least I went with Jim.
Yeah, exactly. Like I am like in professionally, like a lot of people call me Jim, but like it's also like what everybody knew my dad as professionally, so it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know. Anyway, blottity blah. Mr. Tester, what have we been up to this last couple of weeks?
Just doing a lot of printing and still working on that BMW for PZY. It's getting close. I still have almost 3 weeks.
So you should be able to knock that out without a problem.
Yeah.
Like it's about done. Mr. Sean, we have projects we can't speak of, but you did do something that you posted online here recently. So
I did. Yeah, actually, I'm farther ahead than I'm. What I post online is always slightly behind. So there's my Demon, my 72 Demon. So it got painted, cleared, decals. So it's going to get a black vinyl roof, which I haven't sprayed yet, and then it'll get flat black hood painted down the center then, and then the scoop. So made pretty good progress on that. And yeah, I should have that done for NNL East, and then I have another project I'm pretty far along, but I'm going to save that till NNL East. So
that will attend with you, I assume.
Yep, it's pretty far along, so I think it'll make it.
All right,
It's going to be a good one. Are you going 344 barrel with that Demon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm using for the interior, and actually the chassis and the engine are all out of the 75 Dart Sport kit, because that has a sort of the correct interior for the later
72, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you want to plug or give your thoughts on the parts that you're adding in here?
Yeah, so I got the 3D printed grill, 72 grill from Atomic City. Nice kit. It's what's nice about it is it's the grills. You can see it's molded open, so it's very finely detailed, and actually comes with clear parts for the turn signals and side marker lights too, because they're different on a 72 than they are from the 71 in a different location.
Wait a minute, the hood scoop is from Atomic Resin, but the grill is from Too Many Sprues. Few sprues loose.
No, so my grill is from Atomic City.
Oh.
I don't know if Two Sprues. I mean, maybe it's the same place and they're just branding it or repackaging. I don't know.
Okay.
But I got wherever I bought it at the show and at the Cleveland show or Akron show.
Okay.
In October.
So that must have been before Brandon was making them.
Okay. So I haven't seen the one that Too Many Projects or whatever, whoever you mentioned.
Few sprues loose, right?
Few sprues loose. I have not seen that one. I don't know if it's the same one or not. And then the hood scoop actually came from Hart's Parts. That's a resin piece.
Oh, okay.
And I've had that for ages. I'm assuming they're still in business. I don't know. It's been a while since I bought anything from them, but they make a lot of nice Mopar pieces. And I had bought that one a long time ago without a real clear idea what I would do with it. And then when I saw the 3D printed grill for the 72 Demon, I was like, oh, great. I've already got a scoop.
Yeah.
So,
good stuff.
Yeah. That's coming along.
Jim, you got anything you've been working on recently?
Yeah, I've been working on a Profile 24 1953 Cunningham from Le Mans, and I just buttoned it up today.
Is that the white one you sent me?
Yep.
save you from. I thought that's what that was, but
Oh wow!
Ooh.
Looks like you're pretty. Are you finished, or are you still?
Yeah,
working?
I finished it today.
Oh wow! Nice. And where did that come from? A kit, or was that?
Yeah, Profil 24 is the company. They're actually also from Le Mans, French
Okay.
company.
Is that resin?
Ooh.
Yep, all resin. The windows were vacuum formed, and whatever plastic he used sucked pretty bad. So I had to make my own windows, which
Nice.
was really fun.
How did you make the form for the vacuum forming if you didn't have it?
Well, Kroger's has these cool little containers that you can buy fruit and stuff in that have all kinds of convex shapes to them, and you can figure out what you want. Plus, it bends okay by hand. So I was able to manipulate them and cut them out.
So you
And they're very clear.
I had heard of people using that, food container plastic, but never actually heard anybody say they'd used it. Wow.
Nice. I
I'll be
actually have
darned.
a whole collection of vacuum form shapes that I've got packaging from, and I'll see whenever I pick up a package and it's got a nice, clear, cleanly formed shape. I'll just throw it in a box, and like, so I've got a whole collection of this. That's a good
Well,
tip.
I originally thought I was going to make my own shapes and vacuum form them myself, but then I was looking at something I got from Kroger's and went, hey, this will work.
this is a great deal easier than my plan.
Heck yeah.
Was there any other modification you had to make to build that kit, Jim?
Let me think here. Oh, I had some headlights that I had gotten about 30 years ago from Sakatsu. They were turned aluminum headlights I picked up at some show. That company's long been out of business, but some pretty nice stuff that they made back in the day.
Does that kit have an engine in it, or is it?
No, it's all curbside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I built an Enzo. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, what was your inspiration to build that?
I was at the Macomb show, and I picked this up, and
Nice.
I already had the kit in my stash, and I went, well, I guess that's what I'm building.
Good reference material.
So you knocked that out pretty fast.
Well, it happens when you're retired. You can do stuff like that.
How many hours do you think you have in it?
But maybe 60.
Okay.
It's like curbside. It's not too bad.
Nice.
Clean and paint. You know how it is when you get down to the end. I was like, I had the last 10% to do today, and it took probably a third of the time because all the little fiddly stuff just takes forever.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was saying, the Ferrari Enzo, I had some of that Sakura parts. Yeah. So I had some of those parts on the Enzo, and if I ever build it again, I'm just going to pluck those off the other one and put them on the new one because they were so nice.
I'm highly guilty of that too. Oh, this has been on the shelf long enough. I can use those parts.
Like turned aluminum shocks and stuff. Yeah, those are coming off.
In fact, the Tamiya Mercedes AMG GT3 car, that model that they came out with a few years back, I stripped two of my bills down and did different liveries on them already. So, okay, I've seen that long enough. Strip it down to a different livery.
I always wonder because I have 2 or 3 that aren't Miku decals. So I'm like, what do I do with these? I should do something with them. It's a good idea. Just strip them.
I mean, of course, we all got models that we would never strip down, but these are just little shelf queens.
Nice. Mr. Duff, what have you been up to?
Somebody's cat alarm is going off in the background.
Yeah, that's my It's my little girl. She wants attention.
I was gonna say, well, I'm surprised mine doesn't. I sat down this afternoon, and my cat that will not associate with me like in a regular room came down here and was like, "Hey, we're hanging out together today." I'm like, "Okay, so I'm not working." So this Porsche kit, I have spent the last couple of days with the on this car in real life. The back fenders here are one-piece fiberglass molded, and they are like bolted on. I don't know if it's Dutch fasteners is the right word. The ones that look like ovals with the pin in the middle. So
Zeus.
they're bolted on. But there you go. Thank you. But this kit, the way it's molded, the top of these fenders, I don't know, Jim, if you have any of these or not, the top of these fenders are separate from the sides. The whole fender itself is separate from the body so that they could use this as all the base for a bunch of their 935s. So I've been, smoothing this line in here, and then the whale tail that's on the back. I know it's not really technically a whale tail. Like this whole assembly would come off as one big piece.
Right.
And it's like 5 pieces. So it's the thing I hate most about modeling. If you were to hold a gun to my head and say, what do you hate most about modeling? It's body work. So smoothing all of those seams together so that they're in a sort of a somewhat uniform piece. Because the great part is, like, once it all goes on, there's PE Dutch fasteners, 4 of them. So, like, they can all have all the seams they want to. They weren't really all that smooth in real life. That car, that Grazi Kremer still exists. Like, it still floats around. It's been restored, overly restored, but it still exists. So there's lots of reference photos of at least what it looks like now, more than it did then, perhaps. But so reference photos not a problem, but like having really good 4K high def reference photos are now like, oh, I can't really fudge. Like, oh, I don't know what it looked like. It was 50 years ago. No, I know exactly what it looks like. So
Can't
smoothing
cheat.
all the fenders together. That's been my cause du jour.
Don't you hate that when you're like, you open a kit and it's like, oh, that looks good, and then you start looking at reference photos and you're like, oh man, this is way off. And now that you know that, it's like it didn't bother you before, and then now that you've seen it and you know it's wrong, it's like
What do you use for filler, James?
I have the Tamiya 2-part epoxy.
Okay.
Basically, what I've been throwing at that, because the seams themselves aren't real bad. It's just smoothing them out and making them look like it's a uniform one piece rather than it doesn't have like gaps. So I didn't have to get sprue goo out or try to really fill gaps the way you would on everybody's doing a plain build in one group that I'm in next month, and I was like, oh god, I don't want to fill like seams of wing roots and stuff like that. I know that's a problem with some of the kits that people are already looking at, but anyway, that's a month down the line and probably something I'm not going to do anyway. But yeah, the kit itself is typical B-Max new, whereas it's more or less easy to put together and somehow yet not awe-inspiring at the same time.
How old is that kit?
This kit, I don't know if it's got a date on these the way that everybody else does on the side or not, but I want to say this came out 22 or 21. Yeah, the base 935 was the Kremer kit that has the Valiant livery, the mint green German DRM livery, and that came out before COVID. And then there was another 932 K2. Then they've done 2 K3s, and then there's the Hawaiian Tropic Le Mans car supposed to come out next out of that line. When, who knows? Because B-Max and Nunu, they're just like, hey, that's coming soon, like soon, and hopefully before my grandkids die. But we'll see.
So those new RSRs are marked improvement over that one, then probably.
Yeah, probably. Like I said, the body itself was new, and then the wheels in here are new. It gives you 2 options of wheels. I'll probably end up using the non-BBS ones because that kit has aero discs, the brake aero discs for the cover. So there's no point in ruining a good set of BBS wheels if you can't even see them anyway. But yeah, that's been my. Can't stand it. I can't. It would have been so nice if I could just slap those fenders on and called it a day and just been like, oh, I don't know any better. And then I thought about it and went, I think because in real life, like the fenders come off and that spoiler comes off, so you can access the transaxle and the engine and everything real quick. So at a race type pit scenario, it's like I think those fenders were one piece. They wouldn't have come apart and the tops come off and the sides come off. It would have been one whole cast fiberglass probably piece. I don't know if carbon would have been something they would have used back in 1980, but we. That's one of the things. Like I built for people who don't know, I built the one of the 320 kits, the BMW 320s. I've told these guys before. I finished it up, and when I was done with it, I was like, "What did I forget to do?" Because which is great. It's non-eventful, right? It was not a big process at the end. That last 10% was not a struggle, but it was also so non-struggle and non-inspiring that it was like, I can't be done. There must be pieces somewhere, because this just ended in it with a whimper, and so that's been what I've been doing, and then fiddling around. I got Paul mixing the correct black for this, because while I'm not the biggest person to be a sucker for box art in terms of building it, it does come with these nifty. It's going to look like they're black, probably. They're real dark blue. These dark blue seat inserts that go in a gray interior. So dark blue, gray, black. I think it's a nice color combo.
Wait a minute. You're having Paul mix black?
Well, yeah, because you would think it's black, right? But the actual mix of this, it's called. I don't have my phone next to me. I don't have but it's 9 parts black, 1 part brown, and then a splash of gold for metallic. Is how Hasagawa would make you mix the paint. It's a gold brown pearl, not pearl, but a gold brown metallic mixed into the black. So it's not just a solid color. And I'm not going to sit here and count drops. I could pay $6 and have a whole bottle of that and call it even. So that's
Sean and I would mix it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I know Sean would. Sean would just
cheapskate. That's what
I say. Mixing the green on this one will be something else that I'll have him do, because I'm not going to try to figure that out.
I'm cheap. I'd mix it myself.
And then let's see. Well, I'll say I'm kicking into like what did we buy? So then I got the Trust version of the Toyota 91C as well. Mostly everything on here is decals. You don't have to do a lot of painting. And then I got the MF and Ghost version of the GTR. So this is a 2017 Nismo. This is that snapped kit that Hasagawa put out. And then lastly, I picked up the early version, I guess you want to call it, of the 180SX. Like, to me, I made this one. Like, the box art is literally this car in this color, and then this is like the first gen version of a 180SX. Got a different front end and different wheels on it. You would think, given the depth of this box, being like it's twice as thick as a normal box, there'd be 2 bodies or something in here, but no, it's just that many parts.
Wow.
So yeah, that's been that, and then again, I'm chained into this with since my in-ears don't work anymore. I picked up the kit that Mr. Tester just featured the other day, the EZY. I call it the porn. It's the porn SF90, right? It's 2 X's. It's the SF90 XXXXX in the Spider version, which I know he as soon as I showed it to him, before I rolled his eyes, because there was a point in time I sold like all my convertibles because I wasn't going to do convertibles anymore. So apparently I've caved, or I'm just hoarding convertibles, because the chances of me building that. Mr. Tester, have you bought anything other than? Well, I'd say you have bought, because you and Sean are apparently doing a travel all build without me.
I asked you if you wanted one. I offered.
I never said no. I just said peer pressure.
If you want to build a travel wall, I'll print you a travel wall. But yeah,
don't print me a travel wall, because I'll never build it.
I printed 2 so Sean and I could build travel walls. I
was thinking maybe we should set the deadline for the next Akron show, like in October. Can we do that?
A year from October?
Or I mean, well, it's the end of. Yeah, you ought to be able to build it by October.
Okay. I'll make it happen.
All right. It's a deal.
You just completely and totally screwed up his entire assembly for the next. You've pushed off some paid endorsement for the rest of the year now.
Well, I figured that would that way we could kind of display them together and we'd have a deadline and then we could unveil them at the same time. So I'll keep mine hidden and you can keep yours hidden until the end, and then we'll unveil them together.
Wouldn't it be funny if they looked alike?
Yeah.
Two bad emphasis on it. Jim, have you picked up any new items lately?
Yeah. I ordered a Chaparral 1 from Etsy.
That looks small. What scale is that?
It's 24 scale.
Oh.
It's a small car.
Yes. Hey.
It's a Jim Hall raced it back in '63. It was a Troutman and Barnes car, and I'm a Chaparral kind of guy.
That's a 3D printed kit.
Yeah, it's mediocre, but I'll get it to some halfway decent looking thing. Just put on the shelf to go with the other cars. And let's see what else I got. Picked up this guy.
Interesting.
Wow.
Oh, the original one. Is that the one with all the PE, or is that just
That's the one with the PE?
Those wheels are PE.
One with that.
Well, I from what I've seen online, it's pretty easy to build, and I just thought it looked cool. And I keep my local hobby guy in Ypsilanti in business. Model Cave, for anybody who's in this area, in the Michigan area. Keep him. He's like one of the last mom and pop places around. And then I picked up that. I think I picked this up in Akron last year. For some reason, I got a lot of white cars going on right now.
Walk up.
And then, strangely, my current project is a jet.
You say a jet?
Jet, yeah.
Oh.
So it's a 106 Delta Dart.
So you build planes as well as cars?
I build everything.
Okay.
If it strikes my fancy, I build it. I don't keyhole myself into just cars. Cars are it though. Cars are the big deal. Mostly race cars, of course.
Tim.
In the comment here saying they'll let anyone in here, and he isn't talking about me, so apparently reference to Mr. Drew. Let's get it, Mr. Tim. And then, as Tim is prone to do in our chat, he will latch on to whatever we've said in a way here. So Tim is back with the naughty version of the Ferrari, and then the naughty version of the Benz, and now he thinks there's a naughty version of the Jet as well. So, thanks, Tim. Always a contributor.
No, when I was a kid, Delta Dart was struck my fancy, and I always wanted to build one. So there you go.
I'm airplane ignorant. What is that? Is it like a World War?
No, it's a Cold War. It was made to intercept Russian bombers in the 60s, in the late 50s, early 60s, and it looks like a big triangle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's literally called a dart.
Yep.
Strangely,
nobody referred to it as a dart. But...
Oh, okay.
Yep, that's it.
So you make it bigger. There we go.
In fact, I went to a little bit of effort to do the in-air refueling port. And then I researched a little bit more and discovered that they didn't put that port in until like 1967. And the version I'm doing is from 63. So plugged that hole right up.
Take a hole.
At least you don't have to make it shiny.
It is shiny. It actually is shiny. It's a glossy gray color.
Okay.
And in fact, I just ordered the paint. The only people that make the correct color is AK, so I just got some from them. And thankfully, it's also a lacquer. So,
Jim, I was excited that you were coming on the show tonight because I've been a fan of yours for a long time. Every time I've
oh God, another fanboy. I'm kidding.
no,
I'll mute him, Jim. I'll mute him. Hang on here.
like whenever I go to a show and there'll be a string of nice race car models there, and I'll look to see who built them, and sure enough, it's more than likely it's got your name on it, and so how long have you been building?
Since 1966.
Oh. How do you remember how you got started in building? What was?
I've always liked miniature stuff, scale model stuff. One of my first kit I built was one of those weirdos.
Okay.
From Hawk, and my dad helped me with that, and I didn't have any paint, and he said, "Well, I got some touch-up for the 59 Biscayne. We painted with that." I said, "Well, that's an ugly green color. I guess his face will look good to that." And we started slapping the paint on his face, and the thing started melting. I was like, "Dad!" I don't know. I just always liked the miniatures, little small things. Just always struck my fancy, and then I just got the bug real early on the scale models, and like some people say, I discovered girls and all that. Yeah, I discovered girls, but I still built. You can only chase them for so long.
Yeah. And I kind of know you for doing like really well detailed race cars, and especially engines and chassis. And
yeah, I'm really passionate about a complicated engine bay is what I really like.
Yeah.
Although not so much anymore. I mean, I'm kind of running out of the energy to do that. I was telling you guys earlier that I'll be 68 this year, and it's the energy level is slowly oozing away. But so I like to just get things off the bench fairly quickly anymore. So
Curbside is nice.
Curbside's nice, but I'll still I got a couple of model factory heroes that are definitely in the wings to build. I mean, I'm at the point now where I took all of my stash and just went through it and made a priority list of this got to go, this has got to get done, this has got to get done, and I just the ones that you bought that were stick out, and you say, yeah, I got to do that. I figure maybe 15 years of decent building, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
God willing, creek don't rise, all that.
What are some of the kits that are on your got to get built list?
Right now, there's 10 of them, so we'll see how that goes. But I've got the Model Factory Hero Gurney Eagle in 12 scale that I started years ago when it first came out, and I got the engine done, and then realized that it needed a lot of rivets. And I got all burned out trying to put rivets in the things, and it got put away.
How do you make the rivets?
I started out I found these glass beads that are used for making, the fingernail ladies do to put on fingernails, and I was pressing them into the soft metal. And then somebody else told me about these little solder balls that you could buy in different sizes. So I purchased a couple of vials of those. They're really teeny tiny, and I tried a few of them out. Just I bought a few different sizes just to make sure I had the correct size, because they're fairly cheap. And I pressed a few of those in, and when I get back to it, that's the way to go, because they just press in real quick. Those glass beads, you had to really push them in, and they weren't uniform. I mean, I had to go weed out the small ones, weed out the two big ones.
I couldn't imagine laying them all out and
Oh, you poured them
ordering
into
them
a.
by size.
Well, at least the solder balls are probably 90% uniform. So you're fortunate there. So that'll be on the to-do list. And then one of my favorite cars, the Porsche 91730, the Can-Am car. I also got a Model Factory Hero in 12 scale for that one. That's one of my favorite Can-Am cars, even though it basically destroyed the series back in the day. But thank you, Roger Penske.
What is it that you like about race car? Like, I see you do a lot of road racing stuff, sort of vintage 60s, 70s.
Yeah, that's always been my passion, because a lot of it is it used to be that it just had a roundel and a couple of sponsored decals and you could get it done quickly. And now I've kind of gravitated toward the really elaborate wraps that they put on the GT cars now. Those, some of them are pretty outstanding, because what they can do with them now, it's just so cool. And then you got companies like SK Decals that really make some good stuff, and you make your life not miserable putting decals on. But I don't know. I got a buddy of mine and I back in the late 70s when we went down to Mid-Ohio for what they called the Can-Am. It was a single-seater Can-Am back then. And I went down there and just was and got enamored with the race cars back then. And then that's the next year we went to the Indy 500, and then I was definitely got the hook in my jaw at that point.
Yeah, those are neat cars. What aspects of model building do you find the most challenging for you?
The engine bay detail stuff. That's getting fabricating your own parts and things of that nature to get where you want to go. I'm always been a big fan of making my own stuff and getting it to look real. And I like to try to make it look like the real, like you just photographed the real car, as far as the engine bay and all that. So I guess I like to do a lot of doing the military stuff with, has really improved on being able to make things look realistic, because those guys in the IPMS that really know what they're doing as far as weathering and whatnot. And I picked up a lot of ways to detail parts.
Yeah.
Through them.
When you do race car, do you try to make it look like it's new or as raced with a little bit of like weathering on it?
Mostly I tried just a little bit of weathering as raced. You can dust up the sidewalls of the tires and things like that. And I did do a 2 Corvette C7Rs coming across the finish line at Daytona, where that 0.3 second finish, the 2 of them went across. And I weathered the hell out of those as far as airbrushed the whole front ends, just splattered them pretty bad. But I also took the photographs from where they were parked at the end of the race. Somebody took a whole lot of pictures of them, and I tried to make them both look that way,
authentic,
like they were right
dirt.
there.
Yeah.
And then I posted them online, and then I got a like from Dan Binks, who's who ran the Corvette race team there. And he actually reposted it. Said, "Hey man, really nice." So
that's awesome. Mr. Duff, do you have a picture of that one you can show up?
No, I don't. But one of the recent, and you guys would have seen it, super detailed race cars that Jim had put together is this. It's a Mercedes, right, Jim?
Yeah, it's a W196.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We're looking at that.
This was just this past like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, but I finished that a couple of years ago. It just had never been to that show.
And what kit is that built from?
Well, it was it originally started out as a Strombecker slot car.
Oh wow.
There was nothing inside there, so everything underneath is fairly scratch built.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I had to actually auger out the inside of it because the plastic was so thick that it was just twice as thick as it should have been, just so I could get the frame in.
And do you own a lathe, and do you machine parts and everything?
I do machine some parts, not as much as I should. But those wheels were like Fernando Pinto wheels that I bought on eBay from. He's in Portugal, and then that's that's one of the figures I painted too for it. It's Fangio. I figured I needed that.
Figures too. I didn't know that.
I do, yeah, pretty much everything.
Neat.
Gonna say that the guy, literally builds one of every single thing, because in this giant pile of pictures, which I appreciate, Jim. Don't take that as a bad thing.
Well, you asked for something.
Oh yeah, totally. I was gonna say we have like a space section of.
Yeah, it's my rocket garden.
Rocket garden.
And then there was, let's see. I wish this would load faster, but it is what it is, right? Jim does. I guess this would what technically qualifies as light armor. Technically, I mean we've got plane. We're stealing a Nazi plane here.
Well, that's the end of the war, and they're gleaning the Nazi wonder weapons.
Right.
That's that rocket plane, the ME-163.
Wow.
And I got the inspiration from a black and white photograph of them, actually, in like 6 of them, 6 trucks with one in each back of each one of them. I thought, that would be a cool one.
That is neat.
That's a 1/48 scale.
Okay.
That's won quite a few awards at IPMS shows for dioramas. So.
I just appreciate poor Mr. Tester up there going, I don't know what I'm looking at. Okay.
I don't know what I'm looking at.
I definitely appreciate. I mean, what I really like when there's, especially a diorama, when you're captured a story, it sort of tells a story in the moment, right? Just without even using any words. And I think that does a good job of that. So this one sort of stuck out to me too. I thought that was really pretty crazy. So that's the Nautilus?
That's the Nautilus.
20,000 feet under the sea.
Yep. In fact, the interior is lighted. I don't have the switch turned on there, but I had it setting on the base before, and it was kind of just stagnant. I went, God, it needs something. So what about those, the weird things that light plays through the water? I just freehand airbrushed over everything with the, across the top of the model and the floor, the sea floor, and that really made it stand out.
Yeah, that's super cool. Where did the octopus come from?
It was part of the kit, actually.
Oh, really?
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be. It sits on its own stand, and it's also supposed to use that to support the Nautilus. And I just put it off to the side, and dug a big hole into the base so that it looked like it was coming out of a hole. But that was pretty fun.
How long does something like that take?
That one took a couple of months.
Okay.
But nice thing about those is they're all basic colors, and it's just down to weathering mostly. Yeah, a couple of World War I aircraft.
It's not only does Jim do all this other stuff, but he's also rigging biplanes. So I mean,
Yeah, those are one.
Generally considered to be one of the true pain in the ass things part of airplane modeling is rigging biplanes, but hey, whatever.
I'd never rigged a biplane until I built both of those. I did them both at the same time too.
Is that your first and last?
No, I have. I got a few in the stash. Maybe I'll I'm in no hurry now, but I kind of scratched that itch. It's over with.
Is the checkerboard a decal, or did you?
Yeah, the checkerboard's a decal.
Okay.
So is the stars on the other one, and the wood grain is also decals.
Because I don't put it past you to mask that.
No, I would draw the line there. But I was impressed at the engineering on the decals. It was just like everything lined up exactly right.
Wow.
So I do appreciate the ability to go outside your comfort zone, right? Because a lot of people would know you as a race car modeler.
Oh yeah,
It's like no,
Yeah,
I do everything.
I only I only use a race car. That's pretty cool.
I'm going to pick your brain, Jim. What's your favorite metal paint line?
right now it's the modelers, the Mr. Color. Right now I use those.
Okay.
Because they come off well as long as you use gloss black underneath of them. They come off pretty accurate, and they're the nice part about them is they're durable. It's
Okay.
it's a nice durable lacquer.
Okay. I'm kind of shopping for a new metallic. I've been messing with a few different ones and haven't found anything that I really like.
Yeah, give them a try. I mean, definitely use their leveling thinner with them too. I mean, that stuff's the bomb.
So like aluminum and steel and gunmetal.
Yep.
To start with. Okay.
They also have they have aluminum, the chrome silver. They don't say chrome. It's a chrome silver. It gets you almost to chrome. I wouldn't use it. What I use for chrome is the Display chrome in their that refill bottle that you can buy that Display makes.
Okay.
Not familiar with that brand.
Just Display is your one-stop shopping for well-engineered. Everything is in red. Tool.
Yeah. Yeah, I use one of their pen grinders. Those are pretty cool.
So you would endorse the pen grinder? I've seen a lot of people get that and then say it was underpowered.
Well, I don't look at it as underpowered. I look at it as you're not burning your plastic while you're cutting.
Right.
In fact, there was that gentleman that was at the Buckeye show. He one of the vendors. He had the tool vendor. He has he had the little tiny grinder bits in there, and they're not the diamond type grinder. They're microfluted. They work perfect for cutting and digging in, and I mean you can just get things real smooth while you're working with them.
Huh.
But I like them because you're not burning the plastic by grinding too much, which you can melt real fast, gum up your bit.
No, so I thought from looking at it, at least going in, that was more of a precision tool, that it was supposed to be a little tiny Dremel that you were going to hog things out with. I think a lot of people sort of miss the point of what it was for, rather than it doesn't have enough power to it. Well, you're not supposed to be drilling holes through things with it. You're supposed to be sanding very finely with that thing.
You want power, just get a Dremel. Jeez. And there's also a secondary one that's you can get that uses the 3mm bits. It's not a Display, but I think Display contracts the same manufacturer for it.
Don't they have like a flat sander too?
Yeah, they do. I bought that. and I tried it, and I'm not too happy with it. I mean,
Okay.
I get a lot more control with my hands, but
Do you like sanding sticks, or do you take a piece of sandpaper?
I use sanding sticks. Depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing sandpaper, it's going to be the sponge, the Tamiya sponge sandpaper,
Okay.
because it goes with the curves of whatever you're sanding, and you're less likely to do a flat spot.
Okay.
In fact,
Last year
when I do my paint jobs, I'll after I lay down all the clears and everything, I'll use 1,000 grit of their sanding sponge to knock everything back, and then I'll go into the micro mesh system and start at 4,000 all the way up to the 12,000, and then the Tamiya polish, and that's my last thing I do. Although with some of the old race cars, it's a bit over the top as far as gloss wise. It's like it may have gone too far. It's just too shiny. I mean, the modern race cars. Go ahead.
I was going to ask if you had tried Trizac yet.
No, I've seen the British podcasters talk about Trizac. I've not tried that.
It cuts cutting time dramatically, and you don't have to worry about burning through anything.
Well, that's what I liked about the 1,000 grit of the Tamiya sponge. I just wet sand with that, and that same reason it takes the cutting time down real fast.
Okay.
You don't have to do a 3,200 micro mesh or whatever to try
Right.
and just keep working and working. Now, just use 1,000 grit of that Tamiya sponge. It's perfect. I do that under running water. It's really cut my cut time and way down.
Okay.
I have to look for you. Where'd you get Trizac? Is it online at Amazon or something?
Yeah, they're expensive, but I cut them into small little pieces and just use one piece, and I'm done with it.
It's the same thing with a Tamiya. You just cut your 1-inch squares out of the big piece. Go to town. And I thought the grit would fall away in the underwater, but it seems to, the adhesive seems to be good. So
do you typically airbrush?
Yep.
Or what airbrush do you have?
I've got the Mr. Color Creos. I forget what number it is that I do a lot of my work in. I got a Harder and Steinbeck, and I use that for a lot of big paint jobs, and I got a couple other ones that have not seen the light of day in a while.
I definitely need to upgrade my airbrush. After
the Mr. Color Creos line you're getting a bang for your buck. They're really good. I mean, the quality wise.
Are yours pen or the triggers?
Oh, they're a trigger. Or what do you? Oh, you're talking like pistol.
Yeah, for the Creos, because I have both of the pistol grip.
No, I don't. No, I don't have the pistol. It's the pen type. That's just what I've done all my life. I find it weird trying to do a trigger at this point. In fact, I don't even have the back end of it screwed on anymore. It's just the needle sticking out all the time. And I have discovered that I airbrush so much that I used to find it a pain in the butt and just try to put it off as long as I could. Now it's like no big deal. I'll do a whole multicolor paint session one evening on a lot of stuff.
I'm starting to get more comfortable with it. James, Mr. Tester's really helped troubleshoot some of my issues and gave me a little bit more confidence in past couple times I've used it, I've gotten more, had better results.
My results for clear coat with an airbrush are not good. So I've been using the Mr. Color UV cut clear straight out of a rattle can now.
I could never imagine
Mr.
that.
Custer's is so offended in the upper corner there.
I can't believe that. Seriously.
What do you mean?
Looking at your paint finishes, I could never guess that you were rattle canning them.
It's all about, doing it all in a nice even wet coat in one shot. Get your hair dryer out, get everything, set out, with your hair dryer, get the clear to tighten up a little, and then shoot a whole nother coat over top of that, and then get your hair dryer and get it tightened up again, and then let it dry for 24 hours. And that Mr. Color UV cut, it just lays down like glass straight out. In fact, if you're not into polishing a car, I mean, you could pull it off, straight out of the rattle can if you do that right.
Wow.
The hair dryer helps level things out real nice, but it's all about getting a nice even coat on while you're rattle canning it. But besides, I'm getting old and lazy, so
I can appreciate that.
I'm young and lazy. Let's go.
Now I'm going to have to do a real model experiment with a hair dryer, and I'm going to have to try it now.
A hair dryer hangs right next to my paint booth, so I'm always using the hair dryer. In fact, if you're on a humid day, it works out. It works the best to get alleviate some orange peel potential.
I assume high heat.
High heat, yep. And then at arm's length, you shoot it at arm's length. You don't go right up on it. You just have that hot air coming, arm's length away.
Okay.
Hold your body way out in front of you, and then just kind of rotate it around with the air blowing on it. If you get it too close, it doesn't like the paint. The paint will hate.
I may have to come out and watch you do it sometime.
Huh. I do the same thing with my decals too. So
I do use that. Yeah.
You guys have talked me into that, and I'm finding myself, because I have a small heat gun, and I end up using that heat gun a lot now. Which I had never ever used a heat gun in model building.
That sounds dangerous, Sean.
Well, I mean, I put it on the low setting. It blows very little air, and you can it's real quick. You just kind of,
all right.
It's real, it works. It works for me.
Cool.
And I've used it. I've gotten away from using decal solvent completely.
See, I'll put the solvent on. I'll put the solvent down, and then and dab it with a Q-tip, and then take the hair dryer and just make it, melt down onto it. Yeah. It works really good. But I could see where a heat gun would work really well with decals. That was a ton of decals. That had 4 sheets of carbon fiber.
Oh, wow. What kit is that? Who makes that?
That's the Alpha 1/20th scale SF23 Ferrari.
Wow. From
last year's season. And that's probably the best engineered kit I've ever built. Completely blown away by how well everything fit together. And it's all resin. Mind-blowing. I mean, it better than Tamiya kits as far as the Formula One kits.
Yeah, that's super cool.
I was just gonna say,
it's expensive.
Your impression with Alpha kits, but okay, ring endorsement.
I think that was just under $250 for that stupid thing. So I mean, they're very pricey. That's probably one and done on that one because it's too expensive.
Back to Model Factory Hero. We actually looked it up. Makiko and I looked it up today to see how to get there from her dad's house, and it's like an hour and a half worth of train and walking to get to the Model Factory Hero. So I may try and get there just to check it out.
Did you get a hold? You should probably get a hold of them, see if they give you a little, gold ring tour.
That would be good.
Yeah.
You know who I am. I am Scale Model.
Yeah.
Yeah, throw your weight around.
Mr. Hero passed away a few years ago, but his wife is still running the company. So
Okay.
yeah, she does really well. I mean, as far as if I order something directly from them, I usually get it within a couple of weeks. Really, really good deal with those people.
Jim, I'm curious, what do you do for a living?
I'm retired now, but I used to be in the engineering field.
Okay.
Consulting engineering.
I was going to guess something in engineering or some sort of machinist work of some sort.
No, I was in instrument electrical engineering for a consulting firm. I was mostly refinery work and a lot of heavy industry stuff I did. A little bit of pharmaceuticals.
Okay. Sounds very technical.
And I retired during COVID, which I had enough.
Good for you.
Yeah, on a similar venue like we have right now, I retired on a Zoom call.
Really?
Yeah, boss goes, anybody got anything else to add after the end of the department meeting? I went, yeah, this is your 2-month notice.
He said, what?
Yeah, the look on his face was priceless. Everybody else in the department was like, yeah. And we ended the Zoom call and I immediately got a phone call. You could have warned me. Why? And missed the expression on your face.
I was going to say, if this place closed down, you were going to warn me first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Well, I was like one of the early employees at the company when I first started in '79.
That's great.
There were 13 of us, and now there's like 5 branches and like 400 employees nationwide.
Congratulations on making it to the finish line.
Yep, so far so good. If I can keep my health going and all that fun stuff.
So do you work on models every day then, or how often?
Yeah, I kind of treat it like a job. So I'll get up in the morning, feed the kitties. Unfortunately, my doctor basically took me off of coffee, but I used to drink a pot of coffee while I built. But I'll, since my wife passed away 3 years ago, and I basically turned the upstairs into a model building area. So I build in the kitchen, I eat in the living room.
You have multiple projects going on all at the same time then, or just one?
Yeah, I used my old office downstairs as strictly a paint booth now, and then my wife I made a craft room out of one of the spare bedrooms, and I've taken over that craft room as a second building area, and that's where I'll usually paint figures back there. That's where I keep all my Vallejo paints and whatnot to do that, and my wet palette. Although I have working on one of those. Just grinding on one of those Revell Aston Martin 007, the DB5s. So I'm just going to turn it into a street version, do it in a sapphire blue, but I'm trying to fill in all the holes and the blowout roof and all that stuff. But I did get some wire wheels from the Ukraine model company. Those are fantastic wheels too.
I think they do a front bumper and maybe even an engine now.
Yeah, I got the grill too from them.
Okay.
So I'll chrome that up real nice.
Without a wife, I'm imagining your house just like models everywhere, every room.
Well, the living room is all wall-to-wall models now, either on the wall or in it. I got one of my major showcase in the living room now, and I got floating shells. I'm in the living room right now. So
that's neat.
I'm confined to this room. This is the model room.
Well,
The
that used to
whole
be
house.
me too, James. And I'd, go down at the lab and be 2 o'clock in the morning and have to go to work, and I'd hear from the top of the stairs, "Jimmy, it's a school night. Time to come upstairs." It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Not to change the topic, but did you guys see somebody had posted on YouTube a week or so ago? Did you guys see the guy's basement? Or it wasn't a basement. He had rented like an apartment or a house or something. He's in Chicago, and he has one of the most incredible collections that I've ever seen. Like,
Oh, the one who's selling all that stuff?
Yeah, and he's selling.
My. I paused that video like 5 times just to look at some of the slot car things he's got.
He had all that original box art.
Yeah.
I mean, the actual, I mean, all of it, like from Johann,
paintings,
slot, like everything. And they were just pinned to the ceiling, like every square inch. You guys haven't seen this, Mr. Tuss?
I didn't watch it.
It's a pretty cool video. Check it out if you get a chance.
Oh yeah, it's
okay.
It's amazing. That guy has 50 years worth of stuff. And like the rarest of the rarest, he has one of everything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is quite the collection.
Mint in box all over.
He has all the displays from the manufacturers of when they, like Revell and Monogram, they used to build up for hobby shops, the little, they would build one and they have a little cardboard display. He has those, like, he has everything you can think of.
Wow.
It's quite impressive. Anybody
it's like
in the
a 1-hour video too.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Anybody know where that want to post a link or post the name of that channel in the comments there?
I did not watch it, but I've seen stills from it, and yeah, it's
and apparently
it was a lifetime achievement award of collecting right there. Yeah.
Oh goodness gracious!
Oh yeah, I guess because he was in Chicago, I'm assuming he, must have been either had connections to, a lot of the manufacturers in that area. Like Monogram or Revell, or new people in the because he's got stuff that came from the factory, all that artwork. I don't know how he was able to get a hold of it, but it's impressive.
Yeah, very much. Very jealous.
Like, me too.
Not as impressive as the estate sale at James Duff's house. It's going to be.
You're killing me off already, Jim.
I told you to put my name on all those things, remember?
Yeah. I a list of things that it's like show to Jim show to Tester when he shows up, deny, sell to others. So yeah, I've got all the things like
I feel bad for my niece. She's got to deal with all this. Every time I go downstairs and look at the stash, it's like, oh my god.
What's the size of your stash look like, Jim?
Probably about 2,000.
Oh my. 10,000?
Hmm?
You said
2.
Couple thousand.
2,000. Okay, I thought you said 10,000. I was like,
it's all stacked up on the floor of the former man cave down there because I emptied all the shelves just to see what I had.
Wow. That's a good chunk though.
Yeah, I gotta get rid of it.
Several truckloads.
Yeah, I gotta get rid of it.
Well, you picked your 10, so the rest can go, right?
Hold on, just we are also collectors. Come on.
I just enjoy looking through boxes every once in a while.
Amen, Sean.
I'll get stuff. I'll get a box out and I haven't looked in this in a while, and just kind of look at the parts in the kit and like, all right, that's cool. And then I'll put it back, and 20 years go by. And then maybe I'll
What happens is you open the box and go, oh, that's where those detail parts went.
right. Like, oh, I forgot I had that. I forgot I bought that.
I stored them where I'll never find them again.
I used to throw all the detail parts in the box with the kit, and then I stopped doing that and then just started using drawers so that I always know where they are.
Well, good for you. Mine are lost into the oblivion.
I found that one of the great, awesome features of Facebook is the fact that it'll often, show you things you posted a while ago. So now I get an occasional yearly reminder that, hey, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, you bought these model kits and they got put on a shelf and you've never seen them since. Like, oh yeah, that's right. I do recall buying that.
Yeah, sadly, I got hacked last year, and I lost 17 years of my Facebook. So,
oh man.
Oh yeah. In fact, the GTP page, I had to ask one of my admins to, get me back in as an admin because I lost everything when I opened up a new account.
I don't even know how.
Imagine.
It was so depressing.
Yeah, it's funny. I hadn't really stopped to think about it, but you're right. I mean, I've probably been on Facebook. I can't imagine it's been 17 years, but I mean, a lot of family memories, right? I mean, if you look, go back and like,
oh yeah, I enjoyed getting the reminders from Facebook about the old memories. In fact, every once in a while I get, hey, I was looking for this car. Well, I can't find a photo of that car anymore. I said, well, it's long gone. I've been hacked.
Yeah, that's crazy. What do you spend more time on, Facebook or Instagram?
Just Facebook.
Okay.
And not well. Now it seems to be mostly YouTube, watching how-to videos and things like that. But I mean, my Facebook time is way down. I maintain the GTP page and group, and just make sure that I get a new picture up every Friday, and then put my GT cars in there.
Do you have a website or anything, or
nope.
If you look at if I wanted to look for pictures of your models, where would
I have a Fotkey page, a photo page.
Okay.
But I haven't put any pictures in that Fotkey account in a very long time.
I didn't realize Fotkey was still going.
I would say Fotkey. There's another great reminder to back up your pictures.
Yeah.
For all the grief that PhotoPucket caused people, Fotkey was when they imploded and then moved to Estonia, and I lost so many pictures.
Yeah.
To this day, I've still not got back.
Yeah, I imagine if I look in there, I probably lost everything too. So it's been forever.
The great killer was like, all my pictures were hot linked to my own website, and so now you go through some of the old things. It's just like, oh, this doesn't exist anymore. And every now and then I go over to Fotkey and I go, is it back yet? Is it back yet? No, still gone. Because every now and then stuff will just randomly show up out of the blue. Like they back their servers up, but like they never managed to like reload them correctly, and it's a legacy of every now and then the 15-year-old picture will just appear out of nowhere. It won't link back to the site because the link is different, but the photo itself just suddenly reappears. And you're like, where the hell has this been since 2002? Just in cyberspace someplace, and then somebody plugged the cord back in, and now, hey, there it's back. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we put the batteries back in the box.
I had on that website, I must have had 18,000 pictures, and I bet you I lost 2/3 of them at one point when they imploded and crashed, and then came back and had to replumb everything back. Oh, that was a hootenanny.
It's police cars, right?
Yep, that's the police car site. There's still dead links to this day on there because of that. Because you don't want to delete the links off, because then you'll forget what the pictures were, and there's a chance that one day they'll just show up out of the blue. I had one the other day. I was replumbing a page, and it had last been touched in 2011, and I went to look, and sure enough, the picture that had been missing for the last 13 years, it was back. Cool, I guess. On a more cheerful note, speaking of decals and decal manufacturers that I like, this little GTE number here from the IMSA series. I don't think people appreciate when you look at this picture from far away that these stripes are made up with tiny little 59s.
Yeah, that's cool.
Also, the fuel port was relocated on that one.
Yeah, we're over here.
Oh, it was on the wrong side, right? I remember you doing that.
Yeah, I moved it over. I wasn't gonna, and then I said, "Who are you talking about?" It's a challenge. But yeah, those SK decals are awesome.
That's it. As I had mentioned to you when we were talking, when you sent me these, I've known Frankie since I pretty much right after he showed up on Facebook with some of the early Macau stuff, and he is by far one of my favorite people to work with because he is anal retentive to a T about
that's obvious.
And so he's a hoot.
Does he use Cartograph or does he have somebody else?
No, he and Lau does the LB production stuff. They're getting their stuff printed somewhere in the other side of the wall, so to speak, from Hong Kong. It's being done on mainland China.
Okay. Yeah, Lau's stuff is pretty good too.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I know people exalt the Cartograph and they make very, very good decals, but the stuff that these two make is as good as
absolutely
decals are. So that's, you know, I don't want to besmirch Cartograph because I know people will get into an uproar because a lot of people think Cartograph the only people that make decals, but
no,
there are some very, very nice Chinese decals done and they can do all the hot metal work and all that stuff that Cartograph can do. So you sent me that one, then you sent me the wrong way, golf liveried one, which I think is pretty cool. Throwback too.
Yeah, it's gravity golf blue on that one.
That's sweet.
And then to keep with the Porsches, you also sent me this Le Mans of the open seat variety.
Yeah, that's a old Studio 27 from 2007. That when I bought it, I was really gung-ho on making it, and I sprayed the bottom, because it's curbside. I sprayed the bottom black, and then I knew I was going to go to Mid-Ohio and get a chance to see it, and I got a pit paddock pass for that, and took a bunch of photos of the real one, and then went and got the bottom of it autographed by the two drivers, which I thought was pretty cool.
Sweet.
They were looking at it going, "What is this?" I said, "It's going to be a model eventually." And then
just sign it.
Then it sat in the box until this year. So that was 2007 up to now.
Wow.
Well, you probably have a hard time tracking those two guys down now to sign it. So hey, it was excellent forethought, right?
Yep. I don't even think they drive anymore.
That's super cool. I noticed in the comments a couple people have posted the name of that model collection that we were chatting about earlier. Mikey Mopar said it was from nitroglycerin. And then Carl Schaefer also, I think the one that I saw was the one that Carl Schaefer is talking about here. Because I remember Auto Archaeology was the one that I think was the host of it. But I have noticed that I think the same person has been profiled by a couple different people.
Okay.
I was gonna say I'm not sure if the one Carl is referring to or not, but there's the guy who was a rally driver from Lebanon that has that gigantic collection of some of his models, a lot of his die cast, but he has a museum basically. It's a giant square footage of space that he has. Obviously, all of his rally memorabilia, but he has, I think it's 25,000 or somewhat. They're not like die cast cars; they're die cast cars set up. So
wow.
Yeah.
And he was acknowledged by like Ripley's, believe it or not Ripley's, but Guinness Book of World Records as having the largest model car collection.
I think
I
have,
argue that's not a model car collection because that's already built when you got it. But anyway.
right.
Still a model car.
I think the one by Auto Archaeology is the one that I had seen. The guy that does Auto Archaeology, isn't he the same guy that does like all those, finds all those old rare muscle cars, the barn finds, or is that a different guy? I'm always bad with.
That's an I don't know on that because I honestly don't watch that much YouTube outside of a few channels. I'm the worst person when it comes to that. People are like, "Hey, did you see that like guy who like took that wreck McLaren and rebuilt it?" I'm like, "No, I don't really watch much real." I have my GT World that does the rebroadcast of all the modern touring car racing. I watch that when it's live, and that's my YouTube.
My problem is I can watch YouTube on my TV in the living room. So
yeah, I can fork them on.
Kind of sucks you right in.
I probably watch more YouTube than I watch anything else now. I'll sit there, and it's funny because I'm like, I can't sit and watch a 2-hour movie. I can't make that commitment, right? It's like, I don't have time to watch a movie, but I'll sit and watch 4 hours of random YouTube videos.
Yep.
I appreciate that, Sean. Thank you.
Wholly considering James's retirement plan. Just watch 4 hours of him.
It's watch 4 hours a day, Sean, until you've seen them all, and then start over.
There you go. There have been a couple of years that I was actually rewatching your Charger RT video because I was like, how do you build some of that stuff for the thing that I've been working on? So I was using that as a reference. Neat stuff.
Plus, you can surf on your phone while you're watching YouTube.
Right, I do that too.
It's horrible.
Facebook and watching YouTube at the same time. Yeah.
James, you'd be proud. Makiko came into my hobby room today and asked me why I had 13 AMG GT3s stacked up.
Oh, well, I mean, until you have
I can answer that question.
16 of them, I don't want to hear about it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You said because they only had 13 at the store.
Because I need 3 more. That's why.
Yeah, I have 16.
Because I couldn't get 15. They didn't have 15 of them.
That was the model. That was the model that started the GTP group.
Yeah, it wasn't originally the AMG GT3 group, I think.
Yeah, and then I renamed it to the GTP after a while, but it was all just that AMG GT3. And,
yep, I have all the decals to do all the Miku cars. So
someday you're gonna have to put them all into a wheeled cart, so it's gonna be like 900 of them, and you're gonna have to Rika them into like an IPMS Nationals and set them in collections, because I mean it will far exceed the minimum 5 that you need, and they are all connected by one subject matter.
I don't understand why Tamiya hasn't released the Evo upgrade. That's crazy. All they got to do is change the front clip.
It's Mr. T, that's why. One of the more frustrating things about Tamiya, they make the most excellent model kits that have ever been engineered. But if that old man doesn't like it, he's not going to make it.
That's true.
We could all sit here. We could all sit here and pull somebody from one of the other bigger podcasts that do aircraft and armor and stuff like that, and they'll all have one dumb project that is very simple. For airplane guys, would be the 2-seat F-16 or a P-47 birdcage, and tank guys have a couple of different projects that would be a variant of a tank that exists. Can't think of anything off the top of my head. And then for car modelers, at least race car modelers, yeah, a front bumper and a rear under tray for that GT3 to turn into an Evo, because they would have sold another 16 of them rather than have to go through either Zoom on or whoever. I use LB's conversions to convert the thing over.
And all the military guys get all the cool parts in their kits too, and we don't.
Yeah, well,
everything's real accurate. and
I say,
parts.
we all like to complain that everything costs too much and a bunch of cheap asses. So
Oh shit, yeah, that's true.
that's the thing. If you build race cars, you very quickly are a guy who's like, "That's cheap. What are you talking about? I just spent $100 on photo etch and decals." But
Well, I'm a member of the Downriver Model Car Club up in Detroit, and it's like we got over 200 members, and we get every our meeting once a month. We get about 120 people in there on a meeting, and I'm the odd duck. It's 90% American iron up there, and the stuff I bring barely gets a glance. There's like a little coven of like 4 of us that like what I build. But
Same,
everybody else
Same,
is just
same.
all American iron. It's like, okay. But it's still nice to go up there and chat with people.
Yeah, I
So-
really enjoy. I mean, I enjoy the race cars and the European stuff, and I don't know why I like if it's between that and a muscle car, I'll always sort of end up building the muscle car. I have road racing kits and I have Tamiya kits, and I never end up building. I don't know why. I don't know. It's just
Now,
kind of
if I make a show car or something like that and bring it in, then that'll get some attention. But the race cars, they just kind of walk by the table. Okay.
they're super nice though. I mean, they make a lot of nice kits, and you guys, I enjoy looking at them at the show. I'll probably spend more time looking at your models and those, because I'll learn stuff. Like you'll take more time to really capture, fine details and realistic finishes. And I will study that work, to try to learn from it.
That was a fun build.
so speaking of show cars,
That's the Lowell Boot Hill. It's a combination of the Lowell Coffin and the Boot Hill Express.
Is that the motor that comes in that kit?
Pardon?
Is that the motor that comes in that kit?
No, that's a 3D printed Lincoln Zephyr V12. And then some parts by Parks Velocity stacks. And I don't know who made the wire wheels. That's right. It's the USCP wire wheels. But I got the tires from eBay. And then the pyres on top of the roof are cut a third out of the middle and regrouped. But I tried to emulate the little coffin as far as the stance and the angle of the roof. And in fact, from the front to the back, it gets wider in the back like the little coffin did. So
that's pretty cool.
That was just a fun build. That's probably the most fun I've had building a model in a long time. Was when I did that one. I was originally gonna, do a really accurate version of the Boot Hill Express, and both kits were sitting on top of each other in the cupboard, and I went, huh, we could, hey. So that was that, but that was fun.
That reminds me of something that Tim Custom would do. Seriously.
So other custom cars too. So
very cool.
I don't think I've done an American iron in a long time.
That's neat.
That one was built as a challenge to myself because I had that milk truck, the Eldon kit from back in the day.
The Eldon one.
It was basically unbuildable. I was, and of course, gotta remember, I was in junior high school when I originally tried to build it. It wasn't buildable back then. So the challenge was to get it right. And I got about that engine, and I was on eBay for days looking for engine parts that go with the real car. So it's accurate.
That's what I'm talking about with the metal finishes. Very, very nice.
Yeah, those 3 different colors that actually the metallics from Mr. Color actually filled that niche.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
the purple frame and was one color, and then the two other colors on the body.
And your headers are your display chrome.
Yeah, that was I had those are scratch built headers. So, and I just you're gonna hate me for saying this, but that was brush painted on.
You told me that at the show. Oh yeah, I brush painted that.
Yeah.
I only can appreciate what his face would have looked like in real time with that.
The hard part was the actual hand painted pinstripes on the frame. That was the fun part. That's the wonders of using acrylic white. So any kind of mistakes you can just chip away with a toothpick and fix it.
So this got posted just a few minutes before we went live over on Joel, the guy that does Iceman Customs site, and this was a discussion point because I didn't know what Jim's thoughts on this would be, but he just mentioned that was 3D printed, so I'm assuming because you do a lot of scratch building, and I think that the theory behind what this person who Joel's name didn't name, it doesn't necessarily apply to you, but I thought this was hysterical with the posted something about the 3D printed vehicle in the background there, and then this person coming and so you bought parts, painted, and assembled it. My reply back to that was, so like a model kit then.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
So clearly, Jim, you don't consider 3D printing to be ruining the hobby?
It's just another model kit. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would it ruin the hobby? I mean,
I don't know. I just...
Oh, you cheated. You get 3D printed. Well, you bought a model kit and did the same thing.
I was literally reloading Facebook as I was rebooting my computer because these guys.
My hats off to anybody who can actually do the literally do the 3D modeling and then print it, as opposed to buying the STL file and print it that way.
That's Eric Ritz.
Yep.
He's one. Yeah. Oh, I just drew that up real fast and printed it, and well, of course it was that easy for you, Eric.
Yeah, I want to hit him every time he talks. Shut up, Eric.
So, Jim, I'm guessing you have not tipped your toe into the 3D printing world yet?
I think Randy Durst trying to convince me to get one. But I keep going. I worked in front of a computer my entire career. He goes, but it's so easy. Just I said, okay. So I'm pretty close to pulling the trigger on an Anycubic. So setup. I'm just getting old.
Yeah, you'll love the smell of it.
Yeah, I've heard. He goes, yeah, just put it in your paint booth and turn on the fan and just let it run overnight. Okay. He's got me almost convinced. Yeah, Randy and I go way back, so he's always needling me about whatever the latest thing to do. So we're a couple of old guy scratch builders from way back.
Are you still building for contests, or have you
retired? I had retired from contests years ago, but now I build for contests for the social aspect of it. I'll put stuff. I'm not looking for trophies or anything like that. I like to go out and show my stuff, and mostly talk to people. Made a lot of friends over the years at different places.
Yeah.
But I had basically retired from contests years ago. But if I glean something, like when I did an IPMS show up at Bay City earlier this year, and I took a whole bunch of coins at the show, and then I just turned right around and I handed the organizers all the coins that I got from the show and said, "Here, I know how much this stuff costs, And, you know, you can recycle them for next year. And that's 2 years in a row I've done that for them. So I said, it's not that big a deal for me anymore. I mean, I'm more for talking to people and looking at really nice looking models. That's like getting to meet, you know, people like you, Mr. Tester. I got, you know, met you at the Akron show. And we seem to hit it off pretty good. Yep.
Thank you. I'm gonna gush. You're one of my heroes. You and Randy are my heroes. So it's so nice to finally get to talk with you at every show now.
Well, I enjoy talking to everybody. So, and if you got any, you know, anybody wants advice or questions or anything like that, I'm always willing to explain stuff that I do. I mean, I try now to actually, when I'm doing stuff, to remember how I did stuff. Because back in the day, people go, "How'd you do that?" I would like, just came out of my fingers. I don't know. But now I try to, you know, what was the process, you know, and how I did that. How did you achieve that? So I'm trying to, you know, put stuff in the memory banks instead of just building and moving on to the next thing. So. Yeah. And that also helps because I would also forget how I did stuff. I'd look at a car in the showcase and go, "Okay, how did you do that?" And completely forget how I did made something. So,
if you remember Kevin Smith, he was in our North Coast Automotive Modelers Club, and he was my paint hero. Still is. He introduced me to base coat, clear coat polishing, you know, what a polished finish looks like. And yeah, I owe that to Kevin.
Yeah, he's in the comments here claiming they used to live really close to you, so he's trying to. I'll say, hey, when we met briefly in Akron this past year, Jim got to see a little bit of fanboying from me because James brought him over and went, "This is Jim Drew," and I believe my exact words were, "I know who you are." You were like, "I don't know who the hell this weirdo is that he just brought up to me," but like, I know Jim Drew is. Of the people in this hobby, that's a name I recognize. And I'm really bad with names. I'm always like, "Oh yeah, I'll talk to you." I have no idea who your name is for like 5 years, but like Jim Drew, oh yeah, I know that name.
There was a woman at the registration table when I first got in there, and I had all my stuff pre-filled out and handed them to her. And she goes, "Oh, you're Jim Drew."
Your reputation precedes you.
Yeah, that's like, yeah, my husband likes your work.
Okay.
Yeah, you definitely have a recognizable. I mean, you've been a figure in the hobby for a really long time. I mean,
I don't know if you remember the low buck high tech detailing that Randy and I did for Scale Auto years and years and years ago. Because, you know, we were always scratch building and coming up with stuff, you know, how to do stuff that, you know, instead of buying things. So there go the low buck stuff. And we had a blast putting those articles together. So
neat. So what shows do you think you'll end up, or you'll go to this year?
Well, I'm going to be doing the Dayton Concourse. Randy and I always hook up down there for that one. And then I'll be doing the Akron as well. I got a buddy of mine trying to get me to go to the NNL East, but I got too much stuff on my plate right now to go out there. So,
have you been there before?
Yeah, I brought my one and only time. I brought my Corvette Grand Sport out there, the 12 scale one, and took best in show out there with that thing. So,
I was gonna say, is this the buddy over here? This guy, is he the one trying to? Is this the buddy right here? This guy right to my right on the screen here, Mr. Tester? Are you the one trying to drag him to NNL East?
Yeah. I was trying to talk him into NNL East.
It's also a long drive.
It is. I don't drive it. My friend Kevin drives every year.
Yeah, I think if I do go, I'll be flying. But
where's the farthest distance you've traveled to go to a show?
Oh, Salt Lake. Oh no, the IPMS Nationals in Phoenix. I went out there took the Grand Sport out there when I was doing the Grand Sport World Tour that year. So
How do you transport something like that?
I bought a toolbox and did a foam cut liner, some really squishy foam to sit on the top and underneath of it, and I had some hard point supports. It could move a little because you don't want anything really hard fastened
Right.
down or you'll damage it. And then I remember when I went to take to Salt Lake City, and I set it on the little conveyor to go through the X-ray machine, and the dude grabs the toolbox and flips it on its side. That's exactly it. Dude! Man, I thought I was going to get arrested right there and then because I just stop. And I flipped back up, and I thought he was going to put cuffs on me right away for grabbing the box. And I said, "It's a very delicate model car in there." And I opened it up and showed it to him. I said, "It can't be flipped over." "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, what? It was going to go through just fine the way it was. Why did you flip it? Fortunately, nothing happened to it. It was fine, but it was. And then I just had it under the seat in front of me. It fit perfect there.
Jim, did you build a sort of caricature? Am I remembering this right? There's a character model of a Grand
Yeah,
Sport.
I did. The Roadster.
Mr. Duff, do you have a picture of that?
I'm working on it. I was in the files.
I'd love to hear the story of this because I remember seeing this and I was like, oh, that is really cool and really unusual. And
well, did you guys see the cheetah that was?
Yeah, and I saw the cheetah.
I sent them all the files you sent me, so they've seen them.
Well, that's when he did his Grand Sport. He did the blue Grand Sport, the number 3. I was so enamored with that one, and I said, "What kit is that?" I said, he goes, "That's the old Vavavette." Oh, okay. So I went on a search on eBay for a Vavavette, and I couldn't believe how much they wanted for him. But I said, "Well, I can do that. I could, treat that as I could do the Roadster version." And I got a little G.I. Joe figure, and I had an old RC car, Tamiya RC car. It was in 10th scale, and I took the head off of that one. And then, did some, everything's kind of a goofy, deformed shape, but it still looks like the real race car.
Right.
I made all the decals malformed, and in fact, if you see the decals and the Firestone doesn't. I don't think you can read it in that photograph, but they're all a weird word, not the actual.
Oh, okay.
Like Sunoco is so-co. But and then the driver that drove the car was Dr. Dick Thompson from back in the day, and I just put Dr. Dick on his fire suit there.
Cheetah.
Very cool.
That's the Historic Racing Miniatures Cheetah.
Oh, okay.
Resin kit. Yeah. And what I tried to do on that one is make it like the restored version is now. It's really it goes on the vintage racing circuit, so it's got a lot of modern stuff in it. It's like electric fans on the radiator and whatnot. So,
What'd you think of the HRM kit?
I like it. He's very accurate.
Okay, because Johns Weber he swore about that Shelby, the Daytona coupe that he built.
What about it?
He hated it.
Oh, really?
he cursed.
Well, I mean, his instructions leave a lot to the imagination. But I mean, little time and effort, you can figure it out. I mean, there's granted, there's a lot of scratch building I did on there just to get it correct.
Right.
But I mean, a lot of it's usable. So.
Well, I mean, to be fair to John, all the cursing that he did, he cursed it right into the best automotive at last year's IPMS Nationals. So,
well, then there you see, you can get there.
It may have had a wild amount of obscenities attached to it, but it got where it needed to be.
Yeah, I finally got to meet John in Macomb this last month.
I'm surprised you never met him.
I had never met him. And we chatted for about a half hour. It's nice to meet him. I know we've been friends on Facebook forever, but
I got to be friends with him when he lived in Arizona. For my short little 4 years that I lived there, he hung out with Brian Gugamos, BG Model Works, and
okay.
So me, Brian, and John during COVID would get together at Brian's house for build nights, like every Wednesday night, and just hang out. So I really became friends with John.
Yeah, nice guy. Enjoyed the chat with him.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nice car, too.
Yeah.
Trying to see if there's any images of that car.
Jim, what would you say is the hardest model, or the one that you maybe gave you the most fit that's of all the things that you've built?
Probably a tie between that W196 that you guys saw and the Corvette Grand Sport that I did eons ago. Just because the level of detail that I had to achieve. I mean, the W196 took me over a year on and off to get that out the door. And
wow.
The Grand Sport, I kept getting burned out on it. I would work on it for a year and then put it away, and then come back to it a year later and work on some more stuff and then put it away. And I think if all said and done, it was an 8-year process to finish that thing.
Wow.
But just like Randy was saying, that he would celebrate the small accomplishments, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I made the shock, you know.
Exactly. I
celebrate it.
I finished the engine, and I was like, look at this. I brought it upstairs to show my wife, and I mean, she was my greatest critic. And yeah, she became jaded after a while. She was like, yeah, whatever. But the engine took me almost a year just to do the engine on that. It's mostly scratch build, and there was like almost 1,000 parts in the engine alone. So
wow, it's incredible.
Machined parts and cast parts, and of course, way before 3D printing, I had made my own Weber 2-barrel carbs for it, and had to break down the molds into the basic parts, the face plates and the tubes, and then they became little models in and of themselves. So
yeah, it's amazing. If there was one all new kit that you could obtain or have somebody make, what would it be?
Well, that's an interesting question. Probably I'm kind of at a loss on Kevin. I am kind of hoping that Nunu and BMX makes that BMW that's been racing around for a couple of years now in the GT class, but probably surprisingly like a 12 scale Indian motorcycle would be awesome. Mm-hmm. And I know Model Factory Hero made one, but something along those lines.
That would be an impressive model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In fact, I almost bought an Indian before when I was going up to pick up my Triumph a couple of years ago. The guy at the shop had a 2-year-old Indian full dressed in there, and I was just eyeballing the hell out of that thing, going, but it's a lot of motorcycle.
Do you have any full size 1-to-1 projects? Or have you only?
I don't do full size 1-to-1 projects. I have my 2010 Camaro that I tool around in, and I have a Triumph T120 black Bonneville that I drive around. And then I blame Randy for that. He's a horrible influence on me. Because he has a Triumph Scrambler. So. And we keep meaning to get together to ride. But I said, we live a little bit too far apart.
So we're at to have Randy come back on here to defend himself from all of this Jim Drew slander.
I am not slandered him. he's good at nudging.
I think I'm going to try and make it to the Dayton show, to the Dayton.
It's going to be a 3-night deal, because you got the coma thing at his church, coma meeting. I don't know. You familiar with that one?
I've never been to it, but he keeps inviting me.
You got to go. That's one of those meet and greet food. Just everybody looks at everybody's models. I mean, you bring. I like last year, I brought a batch of models to put on the table for the coma meeting, and then I had a whole different batch of models that I brought just for the Dayton Concourse the following day. And I guess there's another Atomic City is going to have a contest now, or a show. So there's three shows in one weekend.
When is that coming up?
It's in the fall. I forget the exact dates on that.
Not for a while.
Yeah. But
I'll look it up.
The Dayton Concourse is in conjunction with a 1-to-1 car show there. Those fancy Dan restored cars.
September 12th through the 14th.
Yep. But heck, just the big car show is worth going down for, with all the nice cars they have on exhibit there. But we'll have about, I think Randy sets up like 20 tables back in the train museum for us to put our models out on. So, and it's just display. We just bring our models to display, and all the car guys come in and check those out.
Cool, super cool.
It'll make a good video too.
There's a video.
What's that?
There's a video.
There will be this year.
Oh, okay.
If I go.
Yeah, it would make a good video. Just both of the real cars and the models.
Yeah, I'm aware of that show. I've never gone, and I've been curious about it. So maybe this year.
Yeah, get in touch with Randy. He'd be more than happy to have you come to the coma.
Awesome.
So at this point, we usually ask a question, but I
thought you just asked a question.
Oh, I believe we have an ender question that we usually ask, but you've already answered it in a way. So I will replace it with one that I heard a couple weeks ago on a different podcast, and I'm going to steal this from. So the topic here, so this will be for everybody, is what is the biggest or most influential innovation in the hobby that you've seen from when you started? So, what would be the one thing or things for since I'm asking, I'll lead off here. So it is sort of the influence of social media and the internet. Those things, even for as being the youngest guy in the four of us here by a year or two, I had Prodigy. If anybody remembers that online service from way back in the early 90s, that was basically a text-based message forum. And I still have a few people that I talk to from those days that I made
Mhm.
from the hobby, but it's not what it is now. Obviously, we didn't have just 3 random schmucks inviting people onto a podcast like that we're doing right now. That didn't exist back in 1992 and in the 80s when I got started, and just the internet in general, right? It's the ability to order anything from anywhere, albeit perhaps quite more expensively than it was 3 days ago. Because YouTube wouldn't. Oh, there's a guy in Ukraine making wire wheels for this thing. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, you guys don't know how good you got it.
Yeah, exactly, right? 3D printing and the innovations of that is an outreach of the internet and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, just to be able to, just the YouTube videos that you can, learn stuff about how to, get to where you want to go quicker. I mean, just type in something, a subject matter, and I'm trying to do this, and boom, boom, boom. There's like 4 or 5 different videos on how to do something, that you're curious about. That somebody's, put something out there, and you can always tweak it the way you want to tweak it. You yell at the screen and go, "Nah, don't do it that way."
What is he doing to that? No, entirely wrong. Why is this a
and one small thing for me has been the progress in lacquer technology as far as lacquer paints. That's just really been a game changer for me. I mean, I struggled to get some of my buddies to move away from enamel and get into lacquers. I'm like, come on. He gets things done so much quicker. And
to me, extra thin for me. To me, extra thin cement.
Oh yeah, I can't live without it.
Huh. I've yet to try that. I'll have to give that a try.
Oh God.
You have not used yet. Extra thin.
Sean,
what?
We have to have an intervention here. What?
I know. I used to think that I was like, oh, I feel like I knew how to build models, but then being on this podcast and talking to you guys, I'm like, I feel really behind the times. And
do you know what the capillary effect is? Do you understand capillary effect?
Yeah,
do you know what that means?
Yeah, I don't use the what is it? I use the 10x or the plastic. I use this for.
And that's hotter than the extra thin.
Okay.
That's a weld.
Right. That's
and I use it if I want something that's going to be structurally sound. But as far as, and Mr. Tester will agree with me that you got working time with the extra thin. You can get your part exactly where you want it. Ta-da!
Okay.
I use it on painted parts. I just put a dab
Absolutely.
where I want it, and it's
no
done.
more scraping. Remember we used to have to scrape to get 2 pieces of plastic together, and the old orange and white tube.
Huh. All right. I guess I'm gonna have to get some of that and give it a try.
Absolutely.
Because
I'll do a video on it, Sean.
Because it is effectively a slightly percentage-wise different mix than airbrush cleaner. You don't have to. It literally will melt the paint with the plastic, because you could clean your airbrush with extra thin. It'd be a really, really expensive way to do it, but it melts your paint bag off.
But the formulation and the extra thin, it doesn't evaporate immediately like what you just showed us. It gives you a little working time.
I've had 10x evaporate out of the bottle.
Oh yeah, they don't even make that anymore.
No, they don't.
Okay.
All right,
I was disappointed when that disappeared, because that was the bomb.
Yeah, it was. So Sean, what is your big technological or whatever achievement in the last how many every year since when you started?
Well, I mean, there's a couple things that come to mind that it's not recent. I mean, I think one of the most influential things during my lifetime of modeling was probably Scale Auto magazine. That was because that was the Bible for years and years and years. That was the source for modeling information, and I would study that like a instruction manual of how to build models, every month. So that was hugely inspirational and for many, many years. And then certainly the 3D printing stuff that has come along over the past, decade or so, and to now it's really revolutionary. I mean, it's radically sort of changing our hobby because it's giving you access to stuff, really obscure subject matter that you would have never, you'd have to scratch build something. You just wouldn't have had it, like an international travel law. They're like,
Yeah.
There was just never going to be a kit of some of these things. There'd be too limited of a. So that's a big thing. Certainly, but prior to that, certainly resin kits in general, that was a big sort of shift in the hobby too. I think back in the 90s and in the 2000s, and you had Model House and a lot of the resin garage vendors, giving you access to stuff and conversion kits and, again, things you would have never really had access to. How about you, Mr. Tester?
I'm deep into the 3D printing now. I showed you guys a picture last night of those T fittings, radiator caps and T fittings that I printed, and they're just so tiny. I don't even know how you would paint them. They're so small. Just I don't even know what to do with half the stuff I print. But I have it.
I'd say, and James will vouch for this because he just did a video on it. How about that little crate of tire valves that we get in these SF90s for PZY? The thing is only a postage stamp as far as the base of that thing is, and then has a cage built up around it so they don't break off. And then there's itty bitty teeny 124 scale tire valves printed in the bottom of it. Like you said, I don't know how you can get them out of there necessarily, but it's
I forget who printed up some. I did a 112 scale Italy Bugatti, and it has the safety wire screws all over the thing. But somebody printed up the exact Bugatti fasteners for me. Okay, cool. How am I going to wire these together? They were actually durable enough to spin together with some 40 gauge wire. What you showing there, Mr. Duff?
Yeah, so this is the box that the tire valves come in, and there's your regular number 11 size blade. Okay,
there's 8 of them in there.
Yeah, there's. It's not going to show. Oh yeah, well, yeah, there's.
That's crazy.
Let me get myself on here. Yeah, there's 6 in mine because one broke off and one's floating somewhere, never to be seen again. I literally didn't come with a kit that I could find. But okay, sure.
I got a decent stash of Bob Bentley's turned ones.
Let's say, and then there was this thing here. These are the coil packs for the engine.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
Nice.
Like it's the size of a. Let's kick this wrong way. Let's kick this. It's the size of a hobby blade.
Wow.
Okay, cool.
Tiny.
Teeny tiny. But if you don't build it with them in there, the engine's going to look ridiculous because there's holes in the top of the valve covers for them. But even that, I'm talking to the desk. Even that, like this, these are expensive, yes, but they've sort of revolutionized what you expect in resin. It's $150.
Yeah, resin's gotten a lot better.
But if you think about the Don, the Don Holthouse Model House days, most of those were a body, maybe some wheels, and they cost $89.99 back in the day, as you would. So his stuff will probably be $150 too now. Considering the fact that's what Don retired 8 years ago now.
Has it been that long?
I think so. I think it was before COVID, so that's 5 years ago.
Wow.
And I think he shut down 2 years before he actually shut down because he stopped taking orders, and it took him 18 months plus to finish all the orders out and ship them out.
I remember doing a
7
big.
years.
I remember when he announced. I was like, oh, put in a big order, right?
Oh, his booth in Toledo, right after he announced, was packed all day.
Yeah.
I just remember like just booth in general, because you see he would come down in NL East all the time, and there'd be a line of people, and they'd all have like little notebooks with all the numbers and everything that they needed because he used to sell the parts individually.
Oh, it was a feeding frenzy after he announced it. It's like, good. I gotta get this. I gotta get that. I'll never see it again.
I mean, he was the single source.
He was
restoration parts.
I'm glad to hear that somebody bought Scale Motorsport. So that will continue on. Because I know Matthew wanted to get out of it.
So the ads that are out there now are the new owners?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a different Matthew now.
Okay.
He's up your way, I think. Michigan.
He's in Michigan somewhere. Yeah, he's over on the west side towards Chicago.
Yep.
I should get him on the show.
Be interesting to see, like what he does with that. Because somebody was asking if he was going to be in NL East, and I'm like, I don't think there's an inventory for him to go with because Matt sold most of the stuff. That was the whole point of him, putting out a warning and closing down was to sell all that off because nobody wanted to take it over for the longest time. Because, geez, Matt tried to close 2 years ago,
right?
Then didn't. So
we're trying to talk him into coming to Akron.
Let's say he might have some of the odds and ends that didn't sell, but he'd have to reprint all those decals and whatnot to have a sales inventory for a show. It'd just say somebody, Jeff's model by him in here saying, putting out that Don's kid still does tires. Yeah, there are still the model house tires that exist. So we have bounced off of our clock here. And these two poor saps over here have to go to work in the morning because they didn't have they're not part of the weekend like I am. So Jim, hang on a second as we get out of here.
Okay.
We appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. Really appreciate Jim for coming on and agreeing to be part of this insanity, as it were.
You're welcome. I had fun.
And to Mr. Tester for bribing him at the Akron show to show up.
Oh, twisted my arm right off.
And again, to everybody who joined in tonight, really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on the other side.
See ya.
Good night, everyone.